You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Glad you could join me here today on this Motivation and Mindset Monday, where I can't wait to get started with helping you to discover the life that you truly want to live. So we are going to go through today's show a little bit differently. I'm going to be asking you a set of questions that I want you to think about to begin to evaluate not only where you're at right now, but where you want to go. I've done this exercise myself many times, and I try to do it around the same time every year. So as I'm going through these same questions in my own life, I want you to follow along right beside me, because this is the way that we begin to figure out what it is that we want out of life. And as we begin to figure that out, we start to create certain desires that we want for ourselves. And not just for us, but for our family, for those around us, for our community. And when we do that, our entire life begins to expand. And as we expand, we get more energy, more vitality. We start to love life that much more. So I'm going to take you through these questions today. I'm really excited for you because if you've never done this before, it's quite eye-opening. And the problem is this, is that at first you don't want to let go. You don't even want to begin to think about all the possibilities, so you play small. All right, so as you're going through this, I have to ask you that you don't play small, that you start to think about your potential. And even if you don't see yourself ever accomplishing these things, that's okay for today. Allow yourself to have fun. Allow yourself to play. This is what I want from you for today. So if you're driving in the car, imagine, visualize. Keep your eyes open, but visualize. Think about these things. Then later, you can go back, you can play the podcast again, you can write down the questions, and then you can journal about them. If you've never journaled before, now is a great day to start. What if you don't have a journal? What if you don't have a moleskin notebook? What if you don't have all those things? Remember, never let what you don't have stop you from what you can do, right? So all we want to do today is pull out a piece of printer paper, take the back of an envelope, write them down, use a napkin. Whatever it is that you have at your disposal, that's what you want to use. Because what we are doing right now is we are using our ingenuity as human beings. We're starting to develop a new mindset of possibility, right? Because there's no doubt in my life that to this point in your life, you figured a whole lot out, right? You probably didn't believe that you would be able to get to where you are right now, and here you are. You've probably overcome many hardships in your life. And maybe you're going through current hardships right now, and you don't see your way out of those. But I'll tell you what, you figured out the previous ones. You didn't know how you're going to do it then. You did it. You don't know how you're going to get through these current hardships now, but you will. These things do happen. They sometimes take a little bit of time. We can begin to speed up that process with additional knowledge. That's the nice thing. As we gain additional knowledge, as we learn more, we read more, we listen more, we watch more, we learn from other people's blueprints and formulas. We learn from their mistakes so that hopefully we don't have to make them all ourselves. That's my big thing, right? I've made so many mistakes in my life. I now want to the best of my ability, learn from other people's, right? So when I read a book, I say, okay, this person's 50 years old. This person's 60 years old, whatever it might be. They've had 40 years of work experience probably, right? 30 years of work experience. Let me learn from them. Let me take that wisdom. That's like the elders of every tribe and society. They were put up on a pedestal, which they should be. We don't do that anymore, but we should. 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 90-year-olds and up. We want to look to them for their wisdom. We want to ask them questions. What would you do in my position? You're now 30, 40, 50 years ahead of me, whatever it might be. What would you do? And I do the same thing today. Anything new that I get into that I'm unfamiliar with, and it happens every day, I reach out and ask. There's really only one or two things that I can do that I'm good at for sure in my life. And I know that because I put in the time and I have the experience. 20 years of work and even longer working on myself, thousands and thousands of books read, traveled all over the world, have overseen and worked with over 250,000 client appointments. That's the one thing that I can do, right? But everything else, that's not my forte. So people come to me for that, but I go to everyone else for everything else. Like, that's the truth, right? I have a very large team that we don't often think about that makes all of these operations run. And they are all an expert in their particular field. When I need mindset-based coaching myself, do I reach to myself? No, because it's me. So I reach out to a coach. Remember, you asking for help is never a sign of weakness. It's a sign of maturity. It's a sign that you may not hold all the answers. However, you are taking control of your life. You're responsible. You understand that you don't have the answer. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong enough in ego that you can ask for help, and you're okay with that. Because I'll tell you right now, someone holds your answer, right? Someone holds your relationship answer, your spirituality answer, your body transformation answer, your wellness answer, and your career, financial, passion-based answer. There's no doubt about it. You simply need to go out there, read more books, listen to more podcasts, talk with more people, ask for connections. Just yesterday, I asked for a connection. Like, listen, I'm trying to figure this out. I don't even know who to ask. That's literally what I said. If you know of anybody that knows something in this space, please connect me with them. And this has to do more with biotechnology. So if you're kind of wondering what it is, I'm talking about that more. I talked about it on last Friday's review, on last Friday's podcast. It's a space that I want to get more into. Not in the pharmaceutical-based sense, but actually in using state-of-the-art technology to be able to combine that with the ancient wisdom that I've also learned. That's a passion of mine. I don't know a lot about that. I'm trying to connect with that. But what I'm looking to do, though, is overall expand my mind, expand my interests. And that's what I want to go over with you right now. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but this is why I chose this for today. Believe it or not, there's only about 6 full weeks left in the year. And I know how crazy that sounds, but the time goes by very quickly. And since we know time flies, especially the older you get, the more that we have to not let a day, week, year out of our grasp. That's it. Now, every day is not going to be perfect. The nice thing is you get 365 a year most years, right? So that's important that we look at the aggregate of the entire year. Maybe I had 30 bad days this year, one a month. That's not too bad when I look at that, right? I'm doing better, less than 10%. Less than 10%. I'll take that. I'll take it 90% any day of the week. I tell all my private wellness clients that. I tell everybody, my all coaching clients that. Listen, you don't need to be perfect. Get it right 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 nights good sleep. 9 out of 10 meals good. 9 out of 10 times taking your supplements. Like 9 out of 10. That's your minimum, right? It's an A. You're not perfect. Don't shoot for perfect. Perfect holds you back from even doing it. Shoot for an A. Mess up 1 out of 10 times if you have to. That's okay. No big deal. You're doing so much if you're doing that. You really are. So now, though, I look at it and I say, everybody starts to think about their next year and what they want out of life when next year comes. The problem is you're too far behind. You have to be like a sprinter at the start to a race. They're already down in the blocks, fingertips on the track, balls of the feet pushed back against those, whatever they're called, plastic levers there, and you're ready to sprint out of the gates. That's what I want for you. I want you to be ready this year. Okay, I don't want it to be like last year, the year before, whatever it might be. Or if those were good years, then good for you. Now let's build off of that, without a doubt. And again, I've been doing this now for many years. There's no such thing as perfection. I keep working towards it. Now, I can tell you this, though. Me doing this for this many years, I still stick with it. Every single year. What more can I do? What more can I become? Because when you have that growth-based mindset, life is energizing. You're not worried about what you can't do. Too many people focus on what they can't do. If I focused on what I can't do, I would be depressed. I would be anxious. I would be overwhelmed. What I focus is on this. All the things that I can't do, that I don't know about, I say I will figure it out. I'll figure it out. I don't know how yet, but I'll figure it out. I'll ask the questions. I'll read the books. I'll take the certifications. I'll go to the seminars, hire the coaches. I'll figure it out. So I'm not worried about that. Let me just focus on where I want to go, the trajectory, right? So that I at least have a roadmap. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. So let's go over that. The simplest way to do this is this. Before you set specific goals, okay? I know we're always going to talk about specific goals. Believe me, in another 3 or 4 weeks, I'll go over my pattern again of what I use to how to fit 4 years into one. And that doesn't mean 4 times the work. It doesn't at all. I can't do 4 times the work, neither can you. But what we can do is we can stay on target. And that's what I'm going to share with you in another 3 or 4 Motivation and Mindset Mondays. But today, regardless of like the specifics, we want to get down now to the overall, let's look at this as a 30,000 foot view, okay? So the first thing that I want you to think about as I take you through the questions is this. You have to figure out what it is that you want out of life. If you don't ever ask yourself what it is that you want out of life, you're never going to know if you're on target, if you're moving towards your goals, or if today was even a good day or not, because you don't know what you're working towards. And it's so hard to know if you're achieving goals and hitting a target if there isn't one in the first place. So let's move through it like this, especially if there are areas of your life that you want to work on. And we're going to go through the big 5 right now that I talk about. So it's this. First, ask yourself what it is that you want. Now, before you do this, I talked about this in the very beginning. Don't censor yourself. Don't judge yourself. Remember, it's just you here, right? It's just you. There's no one here to judge you. You can create and talk about, you don't have to believe you're going to achieve it yet. Remember, the first step to achieving a big goal, you're not going to believe it. You've never been there before. You've never done it. Maybe no one in your family's ever done it either. You've never met anybody that's ever achieved a goal like this, okay? So don't worry about that part. Just think about what it is that you would like to have if you could, right? If you could. So just think about that. Now we start to move into these questions. And I want to talk about it from, again, that macro first. What right now, and going into 2020, what would make your life, no one else's life, okay? Let's just talk about you for a moment. Because remember, the better you get, the happier you get, everybody else will do better. That's what I've learned a long time ago. That's one of those secrets that they don't share with people. No one ever talks about it. The happier I am, the happier my wife's going to be. The happier my kids are. Why would that be? Because my kids and my wife don't want an angry, upset, depressed husband and father. They don't, right? They want someone that comes in smiling and happy. Like, that's what my kids want. So I have to make me happy for them as well. Again, my favorite quote by Jim Rohn. I want everyone to live by this. I'll take care of me for you, and you take care of you for me. We're always trying to take care of everyone else, never taking care of ourselves. Then someone needs to take care of us. Remember, nobody knows how to take care of you better than you, especially when it comes to emotional based, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you can't then take care of yourself. Remember, when I was sick, when I was run down, when I had no energy, living with brain fog and flu-like symptoms every single day of my life, was I able to reach down and pull other people up? No. My life was a mess. I was a mess. What happened when I got better? Oh, I had energy. I was exuberant with this passion now to be able to teach others how to do the same. Could I lift people up after that? Of course I could. What did I have to do? I had to take care of myself. That's not selfish. If you take care of yourself, you will be better for everyone else. Right now, think about what would make your life a 10. Don't even think about the specific areas I'm going to give you right now. First, think about this. Pause the podcast if you need to. Take a minute to think about it. What pops into your mind first? It's always those snap decisions, those snap thoughts. Your subconscious will tell you, what would make your life a 10? What would make your life a 10? What would make your life a 10? And you're going to move to one area of your life first. That's it, right? One or two things. That's it. That's what your subconscious is telling you. This is what you want at a deep level. This is what you desire. This is what you need to feel fully whole. Okay? Think about that. Write it down. Don't let it escape. Write it down on a napkin. Write it down anywhere that you need to. Put it in your phone, whatever you need to do. Okay? Send a voice text to yourself. That's an easy way to do it, right? You can text yourself. If you didn't know that before, you actually can. I do that all the time. You can text your own phone number. You can say to your phone to text you, and you can have an ongoing dialogue right there. And it's just notes for you. So that's what I want you to do. Right now, what would make your life a 10? What would make your life a 10 in 2020? Then let's break it down. Because if you weren't able to figure it out, let's break it down from there. Now, a 10 is the best, right? A 10 is, that's it. Like, it's the best. That would make it a 10. There's no 11 on this scale. So what would make your life the best? What would make your life the greatest life worth living, right? What would it be? Not forever. Let's not even talk about, yes, 20 years from now is great, okay? But what can we begin to work on now? Then, of course, it will get us there in 20 years. So what do you need? And I don't want to answer that for you. I don't want to give you what I'm doing. I want this to be all about you today. I don't want to push any of my thoughts, desires, needs, wants towards you. I want you to think about this, okay? The next one is, let's break them down. What would make your relationships a 10? So first think about your life, but I want you to go through all of these. So what would make your relationships a 10? Start with the people closest to you, okay? I hope that you tuned in. I believe it was just last Wednesday. I went through Harahachi-bu and I went through Moai, and it's your support system. Everybody needs about 3 to 4 close relationships, and it will allow them to live about 22% longer than those people who basically feel like they don't have any close relationships. You want people that you can chat with, that you can talk to, that you can care for, and they can care for you, okay? So think about that. Maybe parents, maybe siblings, maybe a couple best friends, close friends, your partner, whoever it might be. But what would make each of those relationships a 10? How often would you need to visit your parents? How often would you need to go out with your friends to make it a 10? What would you need to do with them? Would it be taking a trip? Would it be going out to dinner? What would make it a 10? That's what I want you to think about, okay? What would make your relationships a 10? And start with the ones that are maybe most important. If you are married, okay, what about your spouse? And then what about your children if you have children? What would make that a 10? That's what I go to first, right? Those are the people that I live with and I care for in my way, and they care for me in their way. And so I have to make that a 10. And then from there, I move out the circle. My siblings, my parents, nieces, nephews, right? Like that's then the family. And then after that, it's close friends, and it's also close coworkers, right? I'm very close with a lot of coworkers too. So, okay, how do I make those relationships as good as I can? Now, remember, you only have so much time, right? So it's what can you do? Well, you start at your core center, which everybody needs to, right? And then we just move out from there, and we do our best, right? So what would make those relationships a 10? I want you to think about it, okay? Usually it has to do with time. Usually it has to do with experiences. Think about that. The next one is this. What would make your career, or what it is that you do with a lot of your time, a 10? So think about this. If you are, let's say, a real estate agent, what would it take to make your career a 10? How many homes would you have to sell? Or what type of notoriety would you need? Whatever it is, whatever makes that career a 10. Think about that. As a personal trainer, which is I'm more familiar with, especially having 9 personal trainers on my team, I think about that. I say, what would it take to make that a 10? Well, you need a certain amount of clients, right? You need to do a certain amount of sessions per month. Okay, that's the first part. Then you need continuing education. You need to be able to expand your passion for the industry. So now you're going to certifications. You're doing continuing education. And then it's whatever it might be, right? You expand from there. What would it take to make your career a 10? If you're a stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom, to do your job fully. And believe me, in my opinion, there is no more important of a job than being a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. Full-time, basically the manager of your family. What would it take to make that a 10? What would you need it to look like? What would you need it to be? And how do you also get an hour or two a day of your own time because you deserve it, probably more than anyone. So think about that. The next one is this, and it's along with career, because I really believe that we look at money in our society as evil and it's like bad. You can't think that way. You can't. You can do so much good in the world with actual money. That's the thing. And I learned this when I went overseas. And I realized like, oh, wait, this whole time, like I'm not even thinking about making money or doing any of these things. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, well, if I had money, I'd be able to do more things as well for other people. So I'm a pretty simple person. Like, I don't need a lot to be happy. I don't. Like, I really don't. Now, I'm not saying that I don't like nice things. I'm not saying that. But I'm not an accumulator. I don't have a lot of stuff. But I love to also be able to expand out and share as well. And that's why if you don't need a lot too, it's okay. You can still set goals for your own finances. And then you can share with family, with friends, on trips, experiences, your church, your community, and you can also give away, of course, to charity. We have a really amazing charity that we work with as well. We'll probably talk more about that in 2020 and help them grow too as a charity. So that's something that you may want to think about. What would make your finances a 10? What would you need to make, right? What would you need to take home? What would you need in savings? Is it to buy a home? What would make it a 10? Think about that. The next one is this. What would make your spirituality a 10? What would you need to feel? What would it need to look like? How much time each week would you need to practice in your spirituality? Really important one as well. The next one is this. Body transformation. What would your body need to look like, weigh in, measurements be to make that a 10? Now, again, don't think of it as society's perspective. For you, what would it need to be? For health, I can tell you, your BMI should be between a 19 and 24.9. Ideally, between a 19 and 24. Okay? Your waist-hip measurement, below 0.95 for men and below 0.8 for women. Okay? So we want to look at that. We say those are the parameters that we want right there. Those are just general. Again, they're just general stats. Body fat percentage, women 18 to 22%. Men, 14 to 18%. It's a good place to shoot for. So when we look at that, we say, okay, well, we get good statistics. Not about looks, it's about health, right? But you can then also base it on some looks. Like that's not an issue, but do it for you. Don't do it for society. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for you if you want to change your body after you already reached that peak health. And then also wellness. Do you have the energy you have? Do you have the energy you need right now? Do you have that vitality? Do you have the stamina? Do you have the mental positivity and outlook? Or are you suffering from some type of dis-ease of the body? Are you imbalanced in any way? Are any of your lab markers off? Omega-3s, gut-based markers, hormones, heavy metals, toxicity. Are any of those off? Because if they are, and even if you are feeling well, take care of them now. Because if you don't, here's what happens. They eventually catch up with you. You begin to fill up that rain barrel. And the only way out of that situation is to empty the rain barrel. And you can do that. And you can keep it empty. So what I want you to do is this. Anytime you feel like any area of your life is not where it should, I want you to ask the question, okay, I'm not where I want to be right now, but what would make it a 10? What would make this relationship, this career, my spirituality, my body, my wellness, what would make it a 10? Think about that. Now, don't censor, don't judge yourself. It's just you. And it might be a moonshot, which means that you don't know how you're ever going to achieve it. That's okay. And maybe you don't achieve it even this year. Put it down. What if you got 50% of that? 50% of that might be a huge step forward. That might be even all you need. You're already moving forward. Now, I'm going to teach you, though, in a couple weeks how you will achieve it this year. I'm going to teach you how you can get 4 years worth of productivity in 1 year without doing extra work. Because remember, nobody has extra time. I'm not looking for extra time. I'm looking for managing our time, integrating our time. And that's what we're going to talk more about. So here's the thing. I need you for yourself, not for me, but I need you for you to not judge what you want out of life. You were not created to play small. I truly believe that. If you can think about it, you have the potential to achieve it. So go big and think big. Let yourself play and enjoy life. You can figure out the how later. First, figure out what it is that you want and what would make your life a 10. I'm telling you right now, you've got this. Now let your mind wander, have fun with these questions, and begin to visualize how to live a life you love. Thank you so much for tuning into this Mindset and Motivation Monday. Please let me know if my team or I could help in any way. We are here for you. Thanks so much. Please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it can serve. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stephencabral.com/courses.